All right, so we are now going to look at the second part of chapter 8 where we're looking at another costing method. So yesterday we learned FIFO, right? Where we look at the batches of inventory that we purchase, and every time we sell something, we're going to get rid of our first batches first. So at the end of the day, and we're doing it as we go through making our purchases of inventory and eliminating them as we go. Now, here for LIFO, this is where it's going to be a little more different because instead of going from your first purchases, every single time you purchase, those batches are going to be calculated out first when every time you sell. So in this one, there's going to be a lot of calculations work, but the concept is fairly easy. So at the end of the day, right, every single time you make a purchase, right, so wherever order that it is in, and you sell all your inventory, you're constantly going to be taking out the one that you recently purchased. So that is LIFO for you. Last in are going to be the first out method. So once again, you're going to have those same three formulas that are standard between any kind of inventory method, okay? So in this case, right, we're going to need to solve for our purchase price, our total cost, and our cost per item because we are looking at LIFO, okay? And then, of course, we have our goods available, which once again, we will be looking at that little inventory on hand section that allows us to keep track of how many goods we have available for every time we make a purchase and so on and so forth. And as we update our inventory, right, we will always know how many goods we have available by adding up our total quantities and adding up our total costs to get that goods available, okay? And of course, our cost of goods sold section, right, where we're introduced to another section in the inventory worksheet where it's dedicated to just calculating the cost of goods sold. So that means this one will depend on what that cost per item is, but it's standard of quantity times cost per item will give you your total cost of goods sold. And of course, your ending inventory, as we've known, right? Every single time that we update our inventory by calculating our total goods available in that goods, the inventory on hand, you will automatically know exactly how much your ending inventory will be, okay? So let's go and take a look at an example here where on June 1st, we purchased 100 toys at $1.25 with a freight of $25. So again, the purchasing journal will be identical throughout. Doesn't matter what tracking method or what costing method doesn't matter what costing method that you use, whether it's FIFO, LIFO, or moving average, right? Your journal will be the same. Okay. So here I journalized that and I'm going to plug it into my inventory worksheet like this, right on June 1st, 100 units at $1.25, giving me my total purchase price of $125 plus 50 is going to give you your total cost of $150. And because we are doing LIFO, we must keep our batches separated. So in this case, my cost per item is going to be $1.50. And once again, I'm also going to color code this so we can kind of see where the money is going and where we're taking out of our inventory, okay? So then the second scenario says here that on June 3rd, we end up selling 55 toys for $5 each. So in this case, this is where it's going to be different, where our cost of goods sold journal will stay the same as well. The only difference is what numbers you're going to be plugging in. What's my debit? What's my credit? Because this number is going to be calculated in your inventory worksheet, okay? And that number is going to always differ because of whatever costing method you are using, okay? So in this case, right, we're going to plug it into our cost of goods sold section where we sold 55 toys, right? Right now, I only have one batch of inventory, one batch only. So right now, it's costing me $1.50, right? You want to take the actual cost per item here, not the unit price. Cost per item. So in this case, $1.50 is what I'm looking at. So I'm going to bring it and carry this amount over into my cost of goods sold because I only have one batch available right now. I don't need to use the Lifo method because I only have one batch. So there's only one that I'm looking, one number I'm looking at. So here we figure it out. That's going to give me $82.50. And this is where I subtract it out so I can continue calculating what my ending balance is. So in this case, I have 55 minus 55 is going to leave me with 45 units left. Okay? At a grand total cost of $67.50. Okay? And again, it's still $1.50 because the cost per item will not change unless, unless stated otherwise if we have a return or a discount or things like that. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. We're only going to worry that this number, the cost per item, is going to stay the same. Okay? So then the next thing that happened was that we end up purchasing another 100 toys at $1.28 with a freight of 26. So pop that in there. 100 units at $1.28 gives you 128 plus $26 of freight gives you a total of 154. We have to keep our batches separate, so it's going to be for $1.54. Okay. And then the next scenario here says that on June 10, we end up purchasing another 100 toys at $1.30 with a freight of 27. So in this case, we plug that in and we identify that it's going to be this batch here. Okay. So now I have a total of these 3 batches available to sell, right? I got my first batch here, which has a remainder of 45 units. We just made 2 purchases of inventory, one for 100 at $1.54, and then I have another 100 batch for $1.57, okay? So now it says here that we end up selling on June 12th 120 toys, okay? So looking at our batches of inventory, following the rules of Lifo, right? Last in are first out, right? Let's look at this carefully. So which batch of inventory are we going to take out away from first? In this case, if we're looking at which batch we last purchased, we're going to get rid of this green batch right here for the 100 items. And then whatever amount that we need to sell out is going to be dipping into the next one, which is going to be the one that we purchased on June 5th for that other 100, right? So in this case, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to take our green batch first for $1.57. So we already know what that's going to cost me, right? It's going to cost me $157. We're going to eliminate that out from my inventory, and that means we have 20 more units left to sell. So in this case, that's exactly what I do. We already acknowledged that my yellow batch is going to be the next latest purchase that I made. Okay? So that means right now it's at $1.54. I'm only taking 20 units, so I need to calculate the total cost it's going to cost me for selling 20 of those items at $1.54, which gives me a total of $30.80. So once again, we subtract that out. So I'm left with 80 units left in my yellow batch. Okay? And of course, we calculate my grand total cost of goods sold here to give me a total of 120 toys that I sold for a grand total cost of $187.80. Okay? All right. And of course, we were also given at the end of the end of the 2 weeks, we should have sold a total of 175 units with an ending balance of 125 units, which is true, right? We still have red remaining at 45, and we have the yellow batch remaining at 80. So then what happens when we have beginning inventory? Okay, so that means we already solved for that one. We're going to do a continuation. So what happens when we have ending inventory? It becomes our beginning. So in this case, it says right here that on June 15, you had a total of 125 units costing at one. Okay, so that ignore that number. At that one. Oh wait, no, that's correct. 190.70. Okay. So then let's go ahead, and what happens is that because we already worked that out in our previous worksheet, we're going to carry it over into my new inventory worksheet, okay? Because I'm starting a new period, okay? So in this case, right, I carry them over exactly how we purchased them, okay? It's important that you keep those batches separate. So in this case, I carried out my 45 and I carried out my 80 in the exact order that I purchased it. Okay? So there's my 125 units that I carried from the previous inventory worksheet. Okay? So then here on June 18, you end up selling 90 toys. Okay? So in this case, still using the rules of LIFO here, which batch are we going to dip in through first? We're going to dip into this last batch that we have available at 80 units. So in this case, 80, and I need to sell a total of 90. So that means I need to also get rid of 10 more from my previous, from the one above that one, okay? So again, 80, right, at $1.54, we already know what that is going to give me a total of $123.20. So we're going to get rid of that, bringing our balance to 0. Okay? And now I only have 10 more units left I need to sell at $1.50. So that's going to give me $15. So again, once we subtract that $10 out, or 10 units out, we now have a remainder of my red batch to be 35 units left, okay, at a grand total of $52.50. And we have my total cost of goods sold for the 90 units to be a grand total of $138.20. Okay. So then now, let's see what happened next. On June 21st, I purchased an additional 100 toys at $1.32. Okay, so $132 for the purchase price plus 26 will give me a total of $158. Okay, which is going to give you $1.58 for the cost per item. Okay, and I color coded it to be blue. And of course, on June 25th, we also end up purchasing another additional 100 toys for $1.35. So there it is. And I'm going to call this my orange batch. Okay? So now I have, once again, 3 more batches of inventory. I have it as 35 from what I began with. Okay? I just purchased another 100 for blue at $1.58, and I just made another recent purchase right here for another 100 for $1.62. Okay? So then what happens next here on June 27 is I end up selling another 120 units. So once again, how do I determine this? I have to sell 120 units. Well, here you go. Which batch was the last batch that I purchased? In this case, it was that 100 units at $1.62, right? I purchased that on June 25th. So that means that's what I'm going to get rid of first, is that orange batch of inventory. Okay? So that's going to give me 162, and I'm going to get rid of it. All right? That means I still have to sell 20 more units. So that's going to give me $1.58 because now I'm dipping into my blue batch here. And I need to calculate how much 20 units are, and that will give me $31.60. So we subtracted that out. So now in my blue batch, I should have 80 units remaining at a grand total of $126.40. Okay? And I tallied up my totals here for that 120. Okay? And then last but not least, on June 28th, we end up selling our last 65 toys for the month, giving us an ending balance on June 30th to be a total of 50 toys left. So in this case, I sold another 65. Right here, this blue batch can cover all 65 units. So in this case, 65, right, at $1.58 is going to give me a total of 102.70. We subtract that out, giving me a remainder balance in my blue batch to be 15, right? And if we tally up our totals, right, we sold a grand total of 275 units. And right here, we sold a grand, we have left remaining is 50 units left in our inventory at $76.20. Okay? So here we still have our beginning balance for that we carried over from the previous inventory worksheet still left remaining in our inventory. Okay? And all the purchases that we made have slowly been sold already. Right? And this is Lifo. Right? Any questions how to do Lifo? Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into our exercise here. Okay. So once again, this is going to be our scenario here, right? It's that, like I said, it's the same exact numbers. Only difference is we're calculating the cost of goods sold differently. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, because we've seen how to use the inventory worksheet, right? This one, I'm going to start eliminating a few things to lessen the clutter in our worksheet. So then it's much more concise, clean, and it's not too much distracting, okay? So let's go ahead and dive into our example here. May 5th, we purchased 1,000 units at $3 each with a freight of 100, okay? So, LIFO, our first problem here, right? It is May 5th. We're going to skip over our cost of goods sold section because we didn't sell anything yet. We end up purchasing 1,000 units at $3 each with a freight of 100. So here, what is my total purchase price? 3,000 plus 100 gives me a total cost of
3,100.
3,100, which will give me my cost per item to be
310.
310. Okay. So now that I've done that, the next section is fill in column 3 here, which is going to be carrying everything into the inventory. Okay. So best recommendation here is to have your formula here in the total cost. So then when I do update my inventory every single time, I'll know it will automatically calculate what that grand total is. So in this case, 310 at 1,000 units at 310 is going to give me 3,100. And once again, I will color code it just these numbers for today, okay? So there you go. And you can even go ahead and build your equal sum table to get your goods available at all times. Okay. So in this case, if I purchased all of these, right now I have a total of 1,000 units at a grand total cost of $3,100. Okay. All right. So then let's see what happened next. Here on May 7, we end up selling 550 units at $10 each, cash with no sales tax. Okay? So we sold 550 units on May 10. Oop. 550, so 550. Now in this case, we only have one batch of inventory, right? This one batch. How much is the cost per item for this one batch of inventory?
310.
310. So I need to now calculate my cost of goods sold here. How much is my total cost of goods sold going to be? Okay, if I sold 550 units at $3.10.
I have $1,705.
Good. Now, all right, so here, now, if you want to show your work, you can. But again, yesterday, May touched upon this, that you don't need to do that, okay? It is a way in case, like, again, if the next day you can't remember what you did, at least it gives you a track record, right? I'm just going to identify that this is my red batch of inventory that I eliminated, right? But instead of having to do the calculations here and ensure what your total cost is going to be, I can simply just go ahead and enter here, right? What is 1,000 units minus this 550 units here? And that's going to give me a grand total of 450 I should have remaining. Okay? And that's going to automatically calculate for me that it should give me $13.95. If you do your calculations here, right, you'd be able to you'd be able to solve for the same exact answer, right? 1,000 units minus 540 is 550. It's going to give you 450, right? If you take your 3,100 minus that 1,705, you are also going to get that 13.95. So in this case, right, instead of having to clutter your purchase area right here, you can simply just go ahead and take it right out of your inventory, okay? But like I've mentioned before, right, if I post the answers and all of a sudden you get 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right, how would you know what happened in between? You don't. But because we've done this before in the previous worksheet where we mapped out everything here, then for this worksheet here, we know exactly what's going on. We know we are eliminating it out from my inventory on hand. So in this case, I started out with 1,000, but after May 7 happened and I sold that 550 units, I now have 450 units left remaining in my inventory on hand. Okay? So I can just do it like this. Okay? All right. So then what happened next was on May 10, we end up purchasing 850 units at $3.25 with a freight of 75. Okay. May 10, 850 units at $3.25 with a freight of 75. Okay. So May 10, right? We are skipping the cost of goods sold section here. We purchased 850 units at $3.25 each with a freight of 75. So then, how much is my purchase price here?
$3,762.50.
Okay, plus 75.
$2,837.50.
Good. And my cost per item is going to be
$3.34. 824.
good.
Okay. 3.33823353.
Okay, good. So again, if you're using a calculator, up to the 6 decimal points will give you the most accurate number. If not, in Excel, it actually calculates the whole thing. Okay, every single number that is there. So in this case, I purchased my second batch of inventory. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to carry it into my inventory on hand that I have 850 units available at a total cost per item of $3.33824. And I can do this. Now, once you got that, you can also copy and paste the formula so then every time you enter these numbers in, you'll have it automatically calculate your quantity times the cost per item. Okay, so there you go. Should be that $2,837.50. And I am going to color it. Okay, so we can know what we're doing every single time. Okay. So there you go. Now I have a total of 1,300 units available to sell. Okay. So then May 12th rolls around and we end up selling 360 units. Okay. We sold 360 units on May 10, May 12th. Okay. 360 units. Now in this case, let's take a look at my inventory. Okay. Which batch of inventory am I going to sell from first?
Orange one.
Oh, it is orange. Huh. Okay, good. So there you go. I'm going to take it from an orange batch right here at $3.33824. I know it's 8235. So in this case, right, I need to calculate how much my total cost of goods sold is going to be. Okay, since this 850 can cover all 360 units, what is my total cost of goods sold here?
$1,218.
Okay. Right. I got 1,201 and 76 cents.
Yeah, I was off by a number when I put it in. Sorry.
No worries. Okay, so in this case, we know this one came from our last batch of inventory, which was our orange batch here. So in this case, how do I update my inventory? Well, I subtract 360 from this 850, right? So I go ahead and type in here 850 minus 360, okay? And that's going to give me 490 units left in that orange batch, okay? Giving me a total of 940 available to sell, okay? Now, how do I know if that's accurate? Once again, do your calculations separately on the inventory worksheet, on the inventory section right here, right? If I take 850 minus my 360, I'm going to get that same exact answer of 490. And then again, I could take my 2837.50 minus that 1201.76, and you should get ending with 74 cents. Okay, so good. All right, so again, that is the best way to do if you are making sure that your numbers match at all times. That is another method that you could use. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do it, right? Because it's much quicker to just do it this way, right? Just take it off of the inventory on hand automatically and hope and assume that this number is obviously going to be calculated correctly, okay? And what you could also do too is if you prefer to do it this way, right? Where you are also not calculating, right? If you're not calculating the quantity times the cost per item, what you could have done too is if you're going to adjust the quantity, adjust the total cost too. So then that will guarantee that you do get the correct answer, right? You could do that, right? But again, chances are that you could also mess up your formula as well too, right? Because, or put a typo in, right? If you type in your numbers, again, that will, you'll have a high chance of making a mistake there. But if I were to do the same calculations, right? If I were to go that 2837.50 minus that 1201.76, right? I would get the same exact answer of that 1635.74. Okay, so if you want to do it that way too, to ensure that instead of calculating and figuring it out here in your inventory on hand, you can also do that as well. That is also exceptional as well. Okay, all right. Okay. All right, so let's see what happened next. May 15th rolls around and you end up selling in another additional 600 toys, units. Okay? So 600 units, okay, on May 15th. Okay? We sold 600 units. So in this case, let's take a look. Do I have enough in my orange batch?
So you need 110 more.
Okay, so in this case, I only have 490 available. So in this case, I need to sell more. So 600 minus 490 means I need 110 more. Okay, and I'm going to add my numbers up together. So I make sure I have 600. So in this case, I already know that this is going to give me a total of, right, that, 1635.74, right? Because we see it right here. You could type it in, you could just do the formula just to be consistent. And we know this is from my orange batch. So that means I already know I'm going to get rid of this whole entire thing. So I can just go ahead and eliminate it. So I only have now 450 units left of my red batch available to sell. All right, at $3.10. So I can go ahead and easily solve that. 110 times 310 gives you
341.
okay, 341 even. Okay, and this one came from my red batch of inventory. Okay. So if you want to tally up your totals, you can here, saying that a total of 600 units is going to give me a total of 1967.74. So again, now I need to eliminate $341, so 110. So in this case, 450 minus 110, right, will give me 340 times $3.10 will give you 1054 even. Okay. All right. So let's see what happened next. May 20th. I purchased 300 units at $3.50 with a freight of 20. Okay. May 20. Okay, May 20. So here I purchased 300 units, 350 with a freight of 20. So what's my total purchase price here?
$1,050.
Good. 1,050 plus 20 gives me a total cost of 1,070, right? And my cost per item is going to be 3.5666666666. Okay. So once again, I just added 300 to my inventory. Okay, at $3, 5666667, right? Because I put my formula here already and dragged it down, it automatically calculated to me to be 1070. All right, so let's see what color I'm going to use. I'm going to use green. Okay. All right, so now, as you can see, I have a red batch of 340, I have a 0 batch of orange here, so it's been eliminated, but I sell reference, so I have to leave it there. And then I have a new purchase batch right here for 300 units, green here, to give me a total of 640 units available. Okay. So then on May 22nd, we end up selling 450 units. Okay. May 22nd, 450 units. So in this case, which batch of inventory I'm going to sell from first?
Green.
The green one. I only have 300, so that means I need to sell 150 more units to get me a grand total of 450. In this case, I'm taking all of my inventory right here, right? I already know what that is going to give me. It's going to give me 1070. Okay? And that means this batch of green is completely gone. So I can zero it out. So that means I have to sell 150 from my red batch of inventory that I still have here at 310. So what is my total cost of goods sold if I sold another 150 at 310?
465.
Right? And this one came from my red batch of inventory. So once again, 340 minus 150. I should have 190 left remaining in my inventory. Okay. So then let's see what happened next. May 25th, I purchased another 650 units, okay, at a grand total for $3.75 each with a freight of 50. So 650, 375, and 50. So May 25th, 650 at 375 with a freight of 50. So what is my total purchase price here?
2437.50.
Okay. Sorry, excuse me. There you go. Good. Plus 50 will give you 2487.50, which will give you your cost to be $3.82,692. Okay. So once again, pop that into your inventory on hand like this. Okay. And I'm going to identify this one as my blue batch so then we can keep good track record of it. Okay. All right. So now, after making that purchase of inventory, I now have 840 units left are available to sell. Okay. And, yep. So here, I only have my red batch of inventory that I began with, right? Or that I purchased first. I eliminated the 2 purchases I've made are so far. And then my last purchase I've made was that 650 units. Okay. So then, last but not least, on May 27, I end up selling 740 units, giving me an ending balance remaining of 100 units left on hand. So 740 that we sold on the 27th. Okay. So We sold 740 units. In this case, which batch am I going to take out from?
Blue one first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the red.
Mm-hmm. So 740 minus 650. Okay. So in this case, I am eliminating this entire blue batch of inventory. And I already know it's going to cost me a grand total of that 2487.50. Okay. So that means I'm getting rid of this entire thing. Gone. Okay. So then I also need to sell 90 units more from my red batch at $3.10. Okay. So what is my total cost of goods sold if I sold 90 units at $3.10?
$279.
Okay. And this one is my red batch of inventory. Okay. So 740 units sold gave me a total of $2,766.50. So that means we need to update my inventory, right, and say I only have 100 units left. And that's going to give you $310 left in your inventory. And our inventory ending physical count balance matches, right? I have 100 units left on hand. Okay. So notice this, right? That my inventory worksheet, right? At the end of the day, I ended up with what the first purchase that I had left. I end up selling everything that I made purchases for. Okay? And that's this one. Okay? So let's see what happened next then, right? Because again, part 2 says continue from above. Your inventory method is Perpetual and it is Lifo. So in this case, right, May 31st, it tells you that you had a grand total of 100 units left on hand. We do know that because we just solved for it from our inventory worksheet. And I only have one batch of inventory costing at $3.10, giving me a total cost of $310. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information and I'm just going to transfer it into my inventory worksheet here. So I have 100 units at $3.10. Okay. All right, which is going to give me a grand total of, right, 310 that we mentioned, okay? So I'm going to eliminate the colors here because, again, you don't necessarily need the colors. It was just for the previous one to show you what happens and how we calculate our cost of goods sold. So in this case, I'm just going to eliminate colors in general, okay? It's only necessary if you need it to help you, but if not, you can just eliminate everything in grand total and overall, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and build my equal sum so I know what's my total goods available at all times. Okay. And I'm going to color code this for my sake so that I know this is a calculation. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and see what happened next, right? June 5th, we end up purchasing 800 units at $4 each with a freight of 100. Okay. So June 5th, we purchased 800 units at $4 each with a freight of 100. So in this case, what is my grand total purchase price here? Okay, I thought you were going to say something. 3,200, right? Plus the 100.
It's 3,300.
Good. Giving me a cost per item of
$4.125.
okay, $4.125. So again, because there's a split penny going on, this is where you have to be very, very careful with your calculations because you can accidentally add half a penny and create an invisible penny somewhere, and your inventory worksheet can throw you off balance. Okay, so that's the one thing you have to ensure that your calculation is correct for this one, okay? Because it's a split penny. All right, so we carry around. Let me drag my formula down so we can have that there. Okay, we have a total of 800 units at a cost per item of that 4125. Okay. So now I have a total of 900 units available to sell. Okay. So June 7, you sold 350 units. Okay. June 7, you sold 350 units. So in this case, which batch of inventory am I going to be selling out from?
The 800.
800 at $1.125. So in this case, what is my total cost of goods sold here?
Okay, 1443.75.
Good. So here you got 75 cents as the ending, so that means you should have 25 cents left here on the inventory on hand. So 800 units minus that 350 should give you 450 left, giving you a grand total of 1856.25. Okay. So now we still have 550 units left available. Okay. So then June 10 rolls around. We purchased 750 units at $4.25 each with a freight of 75. Okay. So June 10, 750 units at $4.25 with a freight of 75. So purchase price here,
3187.50.
plus that 75.
3262.50.
Okay. Giving me my cost per item to be $4.30. Yeah, even, right? Because if I drag it out, it's even. Okay. So we're gonna add 450 to my 750 to my inventory. Okay, at that $4.35. So that's gonna give me that exact number. So now I have 3 batches of inventory. Okay, I have my beginning inventory that I carried from the previous one. I have 450 left from my second batch of inventory, and I just purchased another 750 units. So I have a total of 1,300 units available to sell. So then let's see what happened next. You end up selling on June 12th, 450 units. Okay. So now, which batch of inventory am I going to take out from first?
The 750.
The 750 at $4.35. Okay. So that's going to give me
1950, 750.
okay, 1950, 750. Good. So now I'm going to eliminate that from my inventory here. 750 minus 450. I should have 300 left at my 1305. Okay, 1305. Okay. Let's see what happened next. June 15, I end up selling an additional 500 units. Okay. June 15, I sold 500 units. So in this case, what do I need to do?
300 out of the last one and 200 out of the next one up.
Good, right? So in this case, I have to split it up by 300 and 200, right, to give me a total of my 500 units. Okay, and I'm going to make this one my calculation here. Okay. So, right, we know that my 300 units at $4.35 each is automatically going to give me that $13.05, right? So we can eliminate this batch here. Nothing left. And we need to still sell 200 more. At what cost?
412.5.
Yep, 4 and 12.5 cents, right? So that, how much is that going to give me?
825.
$825. So again, total for 500 will give you $2,130. But in this case, I need to get rid of and update my 200 units here. So in this case, 450 minus 200 should give you 1031.25. Okay. All right. So let's see what happened next. June 20th, you end up purchasing 600 units at $4.05 each with a freight of $20. So 600 units at $4.05 with a freight of $20. Okay. So let's see. We purchased 600 units at $4.05 with a freight of $20. Okay. So what's my purchase price here?
2430.
$24.30 plus $20.
2450.
Good. Giving you a cost per item of
4.08333333, and it goes on.
okay. Good. So let's put that into my inventory here. That I have 600 units at that $4.08.333. Okay, so that's going to give me $2,450. So now that I added that new batch of inventory in here, I now have 950 units available. Okay. So then, June 22nd, I end up selling 250 units. So in this case, June 22nd, we sold 250 units. So which batch of inventory am I going to sell out from?
The 4.8 or 0.8333.
Good. So that's going to give me a total cost of goods sold to be
1,020.83.
good. So 1,020.83. So we needed to take out that 250. So 83 should give you a total of 17 cents left. So let me see. So 600 minus 250 gave you 14.29.17. Okay. So that means I still have left remaining 700 units. Okay. So then June 25th, I end up purchasing an additional 350 units at $4.35 each with a freight of 50. So 350, 435, and 50 on June 25th. 350 at 435 with a freight of 50. So what's my total purchase price here?
1522.50.
Good. Plus 50.
1572.50.
Okay. Giving me my cost per item of
4.4928571.
good. So then carry that batch into my inventory on hand here. So I have another 350. Okay. So now let's take a look at my overall inventory on hand. I have 4 batches available on hand right now, right? I have my beginning balance that I carried over for 100. I still have 250 from my first purchase I made. And then I still have 350 for my third purchase I made. And then I just purchased another 350 with the last purchase I made. Okay. So let's giving me a total of 1050 available. Okay. So then last but not least, on June 27, we end up selling 550 units. Okay, 550 units, giving me a remainder of 500 units on June 30th. Okay, so June 27, we sold 550 units. So in this case, which batch am I going to eliminate first?
You take the 350 from the 4.49286.
Okay, or we take our most recent batch here, okay, which we know is going to give me what I originally purchased it for that 1572.50. Okay, so I can
And
eliminate
then you
that.
take 200 from the 4.08333.
Okay, and how much is that going to give you?
816.67.
Okay. Okay. So that's your grand total for selling all 550 units. So 200 at 81667. Okay, so that should give you 50 cents remaining here. Okay, so 350 minus 200 will give you 150 units left at 612.50. So in this case, I should have an ending balance of 500 units at a grand total of 1953.75, right? And I have to carry all three inventories to the next inventory worksheet, okay? So I'm going to carry my beginning balance from my previous worksheet of 100, my first purchase of 250, and then my remaining of my fourth purchase at 150, all right? So I have to carry that over. And that is it. That's how you do LIFO for the perpetual inventory worksheet. Okay? Any questions at all?